What's good? Good morning. I'm a little tired. This week, when all is said and done, I'll have worked 60 hours, which is bittersweet because I'm going to start to be able to make progress financially once I'm able to consistently work some 60-hour weeks back to back to back. But it's tiring, I'll admit. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But if you're watching this, you are also likely a working class person and you know the struggle. The struggle is real. Excuse me. And I just want to discuss some dissatisfaction developing within me around the cult of MAGA. I've talked at length in a lot of my videos how the culture wars that we're experiencing, this woke versus MAGA culture war, is intentionally curated by the social engineers because the social division benefits the ruling class. And MAGA was supposed to be the working class's voice, right? That was one of their biggest appeals, was that the left, the Democrats, no longer care about the average working class man. And it's very true, they don't. But neither does MAGA. It has become so abundantly clear. While I will or have historically said I generally agree more with the MAGA base than I do the woke base, I am not MAGA, not at all. I will happily say fuck Donald Trump. He has done a horrible, horrible job his second term. There's even a rap song that I'm trying to write in my head. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. I'll do another video on that. But anyways, the cult of MAGA has just the ones who are still supporting Trump and any sort of the establishment. It's really interesting and sad to see, actually. It's just as bad. The two sides, the woke and the MAGA, the people who are still like fully entrenched in their tribe, are fucking retarded. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's the only way to describe these people on the polar ends of the pendulum. And let me get to what inspired this video. I haven't even got there yet. I've been making it a point to comment on conservative influencers' social media anytime I encounter it. It doesn't even matter what the post is. I don't care about their fucking posts. I'm just saying, does anything else matter other than the Steen files? I'm having to speak in code because if you say all of that together, the algorithm, we got to speak in code. The Steen, you should be able to connect the dots. The guy who unalived himself but didn't. Anyways, he's still alive. But I've been commenting under conservative influencers' posts that question, just sort of asking it to them and to their audience, because for real, dog, y'all just kind of let that go. And you shouldn't have. You really shouldn't have. That's cult-like behavior. When your cult leader, the orange man, when he tells you to just move on and you do, it's not a good look. It just proves that you are a fucking zombie. I still haven't got to the story. Let me finish the story. I'm sorry. So, in doing so, in calling out conservative influencers and their audience, I've been getting a lot of backlash. It's quite interesting, the things people are saying. Coming after me, like this one specific one I found quite funny. It was under a JP Sears post. I really used to like him, but now I'm like, meh, whatever. Anyways, somebody told me, I quote, somewhat paraphrasing, go take another vaccine, libtard. Which just was like, what? What? That's something I have maybe said in the past. And, you know, I regret it, especially now being on the other end of it. But it's doubly funny because, like, obviously I have not taken any vaccines. You know what? Here's a little confession here. Well, no, when I was a kid, you know, my parents, I have had some vaccines, but, you know, obviously when you're a kid, you can't consent. Puberty blockers. Anyways, shit, I had a thought. Let me, just to sidetrack real quick. I've never even taken a freaking C19 test. You know, like I kept hearing these stories about having something go in your nose, and I'm like, no, fuck that. Never taken a C19 test in my life. Okay, let's get back to the video. Working class struggles, because that's what we need to focus on. Because at the end of the day, the extremes that they show in the media of the left and the right, they do that intentionally because they want you to be emotionally agitated. They want you to be spiritually agitated. They want you to be divided from your fellow human, because then it is so much easier for them to control us. Speaking of control and the cult of MAGA, it seems like Donald Trump actually did go full authoritarian, or he's trying to. What's going on in DC is just kind of like the beginning, I believe, in addition to his partnership with Palantir and the crazy AI surveillance that is like about to be ushered in. You know, I'll admit I was wrong. I did not think he was going to be this bad. I didn't know. I was really wrong. This has been really bad. I'll admit it. I don't think Kamala would have been any better. I think we're fucked no matter what. But I did think there would be a slight difference between the two, and I was wrong. You know, the whole I'll end the war on day one thing. What day is it? There's like more war and more chaos going on now than there was before. So there's that, you know, his supporters just keep fucking egging him on. God, not even going to talk about that country in the Middle East that's connected to the Eastern people. Actually, yes, we are going to talk about it really quickly, because that's what we need to focus on, is this network of sociopathic pedophiles who have infiltrated a lot of the world's governments and institutions via either literal infiltration or blackmail, and they're running the world. And it's like a really crazy, scary thing to think about. It's why a lot of people don't acknowledge it, because it's like, whoa, whoa. But it is so very true. Pretty sure they're the ones who killed JFK. I'm not an expert on that, but for a few months I lived with a group of guys. One of the guys, Corey Hughes, quite a character, I'll say that. But I always seem to find myself interested by people who are actually characters versus NPCs. But anyway, so Corey, him and I used to smoke dabs, and he would just talk for hours about like JFK and the assassination. He's one of, I would say, the most subject matter expert people on that particular subject. He would talk for hours about the names, Jack Ruby or Rubenstein. I'd never heard that name, but like now it's just burned in my brain. Thank you, Corey. Because ultimately that game, I'll wrap up the video here, the game that the Eastern people, and I'm saying Eastern people instead of the ruling class or the oligarchs, or, you know, because it makes it more concrete to me. You know, you can say the oligarchs, but what does that mean? The rich people. But when you say the Eastern people, you're like, oh, you can start getting names, and you can start actually making trails and webs of connections. So I remember, you've probably, if you're on your truth-seeking journey too, years ago, everybody used to say, when you'd say they, who are they, right? Well, now we know who they are. We have their names and the web of network that is ever being exposed that we need to keep the pressure on. So if you're MAGA and you see this, get out of the cult. Focus on the real working class issues. On the video here, you probably haven't watched this far, but if you have, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Check the description for merchandise. No division. Much love.